Hello, this is Justin Richards, and today I will be going over problem 8a in chapter 7. Hope this is the right one. Essentially, what we're going to be doing, and I apologize again for the camera. I know some of you didn't like it last time. I'll try my best to provide some stable videoing skills. But real quick, the objective of this assignment or this problem is to prepare a cash budget for both January and February. For the company is Bastille Corporation. They prepare monthly cash budgets, and it gives some relevant information, some data for the operating budgets. We will use some of this information, but not all of it, and I'll explain that a little later. First, just a little bit about a cash budget and kind of what I got from this and what I feel like they want us to understand is that cash budget basically gives a company an idea of what kind of cash they're going to be bringing in for each month and how much cash they're going to be spending each month. Obviously, cash is a really important asset to have. You can turn cash into a number of different things, whether it be investments or merchandise. So cash is really liquid and really good to have in a business. In fact, it's essential. So let's get into this. I have prepared the cash budget here, and I'll go through each part. Maybe I'll move it under the light a little better so you can see that. But to organize this cash budget, the problem is giving us some details like these ones here, and then also some other data over here. And we're going to kind of use both of those in conjunction to come up with the cash budget. So to begin with, we're going to be down here in the last, right above the instructions. Tells us that the company's cash balance on January 1, 2017 is expected to be $46,000. And the company also wants to maintain a minimum cash balance of $40,000. So for the cash budget, some important information. To start the cash budget, you're going to start with your beginning cash balance, which it just told us is $46,000 for January. So yeah, you start there. You're not actually going to know your beginning cash balance for February because you actually have to figure that out by going through the cash budget. So let's just move on. The first thing you're going to do after you get your beginning cash balance is to add all of your cash receipts. So basically all the money or all the cash that you're bringing in to the company. So for this company, for Bastille Corporation, we've collected from customers $326,000. Now, an important thing with the information that's given in the book is it tells you under the other data that you've collected from customers $326,000. So what you're supposed to assume from there is that those $326,000, and these are all assumptions too, these aren't actual figures. You're supposed to assume that those were from sales, and yeah, that's, I think pretty much you're just supposed to assume those are from sales. So this information over here, that it gives you sales of $360,000, you're actually not going to use that. You're going to use the collection from customers. So you use that. It also tells you under the other receipts that for January you collected $15,000 in notes receivable from December 31st of 2016. So you've also brought in $15,000. So you're going to add that. Of course, for February, it doesn't really, you didn't receive that for February, so you just put a 0 there. And then for February, you actually, in the other disbursements, you collected a $10,000 cash dividend. And so, sorry, that's not correct. You collected proceeds from sales of securities of $4,000. And so you mark that there. By the way, I forgot to mention that you also collected from customers $378,000 for February. So then you've got, that's your receipts. You total those up. And I'm kind of leaning more towards January just because I want to show you how you get the beginning cash balance for February. So you total those up. Your total receipts are $341,000. And then to get your total available cash, you have to add your beginning cash balance. So you do that, 341,000 plus 46,000, you get 387,000. From there, you are going to assume your disbursements, your cash disbursements. So you start with the payment for purchases. And again, this is similar to the collection from customers. You got your payment from purchases, which is pretty much just your purchases, which is shown over here. So you're not going to use the 120,000. Instead, you're going to use the 110,000 and 135,000 for February. I'm not really sure why these are different. It'd be a great question to ask on Thursday. Unfortunately, again, I can't make it on Thursday meetings. But you put the 110,000 in for the purchases. You've got your wages, your salaries and wages. That's 84,000. You've got administrative expenses. There's another principle here with this one. Administrative expenses is shown under this first chart as $72,000 in January. But then if you look under this first paragraph, it shows that administrative expenses include $1,000 of depreciation per month. So pretty much you don't count depreciation because that's not cash that you have. So you just subtract that out of your administrative expenses. So instead of 72,000, you have 71,000. Same with instead of 75,000, you have 74,000 for February. Then you've got your selling expenses, 79,000. You total all those up, that's 344,000. And to get your excess or deficiency of available cash over disbursements, you just take, moving around a little bit. You take your total available cash and you subtract your total disbursements. It gets you $43,000. The great thing about the book is it included a little cheater here, the January 31, so the end of January cash balance. So it pretty much gives you the answer. So I had to kind of play around to make sure that I was doing it right till I got $43,000. Took me a couple tries, but this one in this video is the correct one. So, so you got $43,000. Now this is used for the beginning cash balance for February. So you can see that those are the same. And then you run through February's cash receipts and cash disbursements. And you come up with an excess of available cash over disbursements of $47,000. So this one's kind of easy because you actually met your minimum cash balance. Remember, the company wants to maintain a minimum cash balance of $40,000, and you maintain that for both months, $43,000 and $47,000. So the financing part is pretty easy for this one. because you're not going to have to finance because you're meeting your goals or your budget. So, but what you'd normally do is under financing, you'd add the borrowings, you'd subtract repayments from anything that you borrowed, and you usually add the interest from that as well. This one we didn't borrow anything, so we don't have to repay anything. And the ending cash balance is simply the excess of available cash over disbursements if you've met your budget. So there's a video, I think, in the required the studies for Wiley Plus that shows what to do if there is financing. It's not that hard. I think basically if you're under budget, let's say if you had instead of 47,000, you only had 37,000. So you'd be under that 40,000 by 3,000. So you'd want to borrow 3,000 in the month of February, and then the next month or whenever you're required to pay it, that's when you'd put the 3,000 down in the repayments, and then it should equal when you're borrowing. If you were to have 37,000, you add the 3,000 to get you up to that 40,000 minimum to keep you on budget. So yeah, that's basically the cash budget and how to prepare that. Super important if you want to know how much cash you have in your company and if you need to borrow or if you have excess cash. And this one you do. They had $3,000 excess and in January and $7,000 excess in February. That money could go towards investments or whatever. So that's the end of my tutorial. I hope this helps. Sorry for the shaky video. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them.